Misfits Gaming with the clean sweep over the Unicorns of Love. They defy expectations. Not many people expected much. I didn't expect much. I thought that the Misfits Gaming squad had a lot of weaknesses that they needed to rectify coming into playoffs, and they rectified them all. ALPHARI stepped up, the bottom lane stepped up, they worked well together. POWEROFEVIL was able to get revenge over his former team, who he lost to in the semi-finals of last split. Misfits Gaming have committed to that one-year plan, and this is their first step towards Worlds.
You can see as well the sadness in the Unicorns' eyes. It's not over for them. They can still make Worlds. Championship points obviously may play in their favor, but the gauntlet is there as well, readiest that they can run.
But you got to remember that, sure, Worlds is definitely the end goal, but being champions of Europe is something that the Unicorns of Love have strived for an extremely long time. And once again, they fall short. We said that this could have been the best year for the Unicorns of Love to date. But this just looks like their first year. They get second in spring, they fall short in summer. And 2017, they're not able to make it.
Seems like it's the year of the Misfits as they take a very surprising win. And you look across them and you see members who haven't stepped up this split, who haven't performed to their expectation. Hussain in particular thrived on the idea that he was one of the best AD carries in Europe. And until game one, a lot of people doubted that, but that game one was a turning point for Misfits and a turning point for Hussain.
He's going to get the opportunity now to play in his home crowd. Paris, where the third place match and the final will take place. By getting a spot in the semi-final, you guarantee a spot to play on that stage. And now it is not confirmed who their opponents are. Depending on the winner of tomorrow's series between Splice and G2 will determine who their opposition is in the semi-final. Largely because of cross-group play and all that jazz. And
let's not talk about that. Let's let the AD talk about that. Misfits Gaming got a great start to the playoffs with a win against the Unicorns of Love. Let's leave it to the analyst desk to wrap up the series.
Well then, Medic, thank you. A 3-0 sweep by Misfits. I am honestly a bit shocked. Justice was the only one that had pegged Misfits as the winners, and that was even with Unicorns of Love taking one game. So I have to say, how much of an upset is this for you guys, the fact that Misfits are able to win this cleanly, the Fish Show?
It's quite an upset. For me personally, I thought Unicorns of Love would have way more to actually do in this series here. Once we started seeing like game one, we actually kind of joked about being like, oh, we also want to pick Misfits now, because that game one was pretty one-sided, and it became very one-sided, and the draft was really good. And game two, you got a little bit more used to it. I feel like the series kind of set us up for this now, that we are not surprised going, after they win the third game. But coming into it, I did not expect 3-0 Misfits.
Well, there were a couple of things that we were looking at. Can there be a second carry for Misfits besides POWEROFEVIL? The entire team stepped up. I have to give a special shout out to Hussain, though. I mean, in this last game, he was great. He was great in game two as well. And the fact that he was able to step up in light of qualifying for Paris, as he's French as well, will be very important. But what can we put our finger on that was so much better from Misfits today than Unicorns of Love? Is it all really draft, Jesse?
I think mostly draft, definitely. To me, it looked like, at least the first game, looked very much like Unicorns just choked more than Misfits. And yeah, I mean, not only that, of course, I think Misfits was also just the better team overall, but I think mostly just draft, yeah.
Also, honorable mention for POWEROFEVIL, Caps. He was only 7th on the famous Caps list, or 6th.
Oh, he was on 5.
Was he 5?
Yeah, he was 5.
Oh, 5 on the Caps list, but how much do you think he contributed to the Misfits victory here?
Game 1, he didn't do that much, I think. It was kind of the Hussain show. But game 2, he definitely stepped up and was like the main carry of the game. And then game 3, it was like, it was just the team overall performing better. But as I said before the series even began, I definitely think POWEROFEVIL was above EXILE in terms of skills, and it was definitely where they could rely on getting advantages. But the rest of the team just showed up as well, and yeah.
Every single person.
Yeah, and I think that's the key thing here. After a 3-0, it's always kind of weird because you want to talk so much about how the other team made all these mistakes and all this was
we're
wrong.
trying to be positive.
But we have to celebrate the fact that Misfits, for basically the entire regular season, would either be good in the early game and then fall short in the late game, or have a bad early game and then have to rely on the late game. This time around, they actually had very solid early games, and all 3 games, they had 0 issues pushing the advantage. They had 0 issues actually closing out the game. So it was like one Baron play where we were like, oh, that was risky. Apart from that, everything else was super one-sided whenever Misfits got the advantage, all 3 games. And that was very impressive. They actually kept that going, but also where I think they got the big advantage in the draft was Unicorns Love at no point in this series had a better late game team fight than them. And that means it was really hard for Unicorns to actually get back in the games.
Yeah, as we're setting up for an interview with some of the Misfits, also MAXLORE just in general targeting that mid lane was really good, but I also feel like having the Poppy as a counter pick to the Zac, it's something we didn't expect from him. Having the Kayn, even though it wasn't necessarily absolutely dominating, it is something you throw in the pick and ban that does also mess up the game plan. And I think as a jungler, he's also done his part with in this series through that.
100%. Like, he had good early ganks. I think, was there anything you could have done different? Probably not.
I think, I mean, for MAXLORE, it looks super easy. I mean, it's like you have 3 winning lanes, right? In almost all 3 games. So it's just about where can you get the most kills, like basically spot the enter. So, and mostly just towards mid lane, at least in the second game with the Poppy. And it just seemed super easy, and he had a lot of freedom.
Well, we've talked about almost everyone. Player of the series is ALPHARI, so then we have a mention for the top lane as well. Also someone who hadn't been in his groove, in his element that much during the summer split. We were wondering where the ALPHARI of the spring split was, where this huge potential. Hey, he had a fantastic series as well. IGNAR, we don't want to leave anyone out. Daku, whoever's doing content for Misfits, great stuff. Great
Ben
stuff.
the owner.
Ben the owner, exactly. No, but overall, they absolutely stepped up. They are... well, stepping into that prophecy of the 1-year plan and the Worlds possibly and the playoffs, they are now looking for me like a really big contender for the rest of the playoffs.
I mean, 100%. And if G2 beats Splice tomorrow, then it is Misfits versus Fnatic. Caps and Jesters during the games, they were scared, man. They were starting really questioning if they can actually still make the final after you see a 3-0 performance like this one.
And on that note, we're going to listen to some of the Misfits. They took a dominant win. They are one step closer to a spot at Worlds and that playoff championship. Let's head over to Dracos, who's ready with our jungler and mid laner.